you've not just experienced, but it seems like حللت كتير أمور in your head. You've kind of figured a few things out along the way in this journey.
Yeah.
What is one of the biggest lessons you've learned? You've spoken about the disunity amongst Hada, and you've spoken a little about that, but what is the biggest lesson you've learned?
You know, the biggest lesson I've learned is about niyyah.
Subhanallah. How beautiful is that?
You know, I was so scared going into Gaza, not because I was scared of death. I was so scared going into Gaza because I just wanted my niyyah to be pure. I just, you know, before you go into Gaza, and everybody, when people knew that I was going into Gaza, a lot of people were saying, you know, to me, oh, good luck, can't believe you're going, you're so brave, this, that, and the other. And I'm saying to myself, please don't say any of these things, because I do not want one of these compliments to get to my head.
You're worried about al-ikhlas, because I could die at any moment.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, the awareness at this point.
And then when you start campaigning and you get on TV and people know your name, and then it's just constantly having to renew your intention every single day that you're doing this for Allah and you're not doing it for any other gain. And then, you know, like say for example here in Canada, I came to be the keynote speaker. People were moved by what I had to say, and then people would want to offer me gifts and give me presents. And I'm just like, please don't give me any presents. Like I would say this all the time, do not give me any presents, because I don't want this to change my niyyah in any way. I don't want this to contaminate my niyyah. I'm not doing it for gifts. I'm not doing it for anything else other than Allah. I remember this one guy, he said to me, he was giving me honey as a gift. Or it was perfume, I think it was. And I said, please, no, I can't accept any gifts. And he said to me, the Rasul accepted gifts. Are you saying you're better than the Rasul? And I was just like, oh God. Yeah. So, but that's always been the constant in this, is that Allah will always find a way for me as long as my niyyah is pure. And, you know, I think me going to Gaza and finding a wife and getting married.
Yeah, that's hold on. So that's a whole nother, in the midst of all that we've just discussed, you went to operate on, you know, bodies. You ended up getting your own heart operated on, it seems. How did, you would think amongst all of that, that's the last thing that could occur to one's mind. How did that, in a gist, in a nutshell?
Do you know, subhanAllah, like I was just in the emergency department working, and I saw her, and you know, she's been starved. She's living in a tent, or she's living in a destroyed home.
She's a nurse herself, or a doctor?
She's a doctor. And the thing that I noticed first about her was just how compassionate she was with all the patients. And in Gaza, a lot of the doctors and nurses have compassion fatigue. You know, it's hard.
بس احنا عصبيين طبعا الغزاوية. We can lose it quick. الدكتور الغزاوي شاخر لها مثلا.
We lose it quick. We get angry quickly. And then you think about, you're dealing with this for 2 years of just constant streams of dead children. You know, when more injured people arrive, it's not the same as it was 3 months ago. You know, people are even the doctors are injured and sick and starving. But she just kept going and going and going, and there was no lack of energy whenever she would see a patient. And it was just her compassion and her kindness. I remember thinking to myself, like, subhanAllah, what has she got inside of her that allows her to be this compassionate with people, despite all of the catastrophes, and she's still able to be compassionate despite all of her troubles that she's going through personally.
SubhanAllah, that's look, truly, I mean just genuinely, that it's very touching. But, you know, word of advice, if you know, the woman herself is hearing, and then you're being asked, you have to start with, of course, like immediately I fell in love with the beauty and everything. I was attracted in it. And then from there, obviously the empathy and all that. Now, you made an immediate move? Was it kind of, because I had a similar situation with my wife where I just kind of proposed immediately. Did you just get to business, or you took your time and asked?
I was nervous. You know, I'm not. You know, I'm not from Gaza.
How's the sound, by the way?
The sound is recorded
It's good? Okay, because I'm getting a bit of echo on this end, so I'm just going to turn this. Oh, there we go. A lot better. Okay, go on, doctor. Sorry.
Yeah, so I was nervous, and obviously, like, I'm not from Gaza, so I don't understand الطباع,
العادات والتقاليد, the details.
The details of how to get
nuances,
this
yeah.
done. So I'm like, do I ask her? Do I go to her father? Like, what do I do? I was just so nervous. I ended up just not doing anything. And
Yeah.
subhanallah, the day that I thought to myself, right, I'm gonna go speak to her. I'm just gonna ask her.
I'm gonna
if she
do it.
spoke, I'm gonna do it, right? And then we get a call at 4:00 in the morning from the United Nations saying we're being evacuated and we have to go to the south of Gaza. And the convoy is coming to pick us up from the hospital at 8:00.
No way.
She starts work at 9, and I have to be evacuated at 8. So I leave the north of Gaza and go to South Gaza. And when I arrive, I go to my uncle's house, and I tell my uncle what happened. Well, no, I don't tell him what happened. He starts complaining as soon as I walk into the house. The first thing he's saying is like, "Why aren't you married?" Just general. And I kind of jokingly said, "Well, there was a nice doctor that I was working with, but she's in the north, I'm in the south. Like this, and he said, call the hospital now, call the head of the hospital." And subhanallah, the head of the hospital, because it was Ramadan, the head of the hospital, we used to do Qiyam Layl together, and we used to play Taraweeh together.
How beautiful is
So I called the head of the hospital, and I told him about this doctor, and I said, her name is Noor, I really like her. He says, I know her father. Her father is also a doctor, and he's operating with me right now. So he spoke to her father. A few hours later, her father calls me. He speaks to me. And then he comes from North Gaza to South Gaza walking the next day
Oh, Allahu Akbar.
to come meet me, to talk to me before he tells his daughter, because he wants to meet me first. And then after he meets me and he likes me, he goes back, speaks to Noor, his daughter, and she says she'll come meet me. So she came the next day walking again. This man's covered 30 kilometers in 2 days, just coming back and forth to see me.
Back in the days, they'd walk that far to collect a hadith.
Yeah.
They're walking that far.
It's like those, man.
It must be the eyes, man.
Subhanallah, it just,
Subhanallah.
I didn't, like I say, like I married her for what I saw, the compassion, the kindness, her intelligence, the way she carried herself. We're in the middle of a war zone. No one's getting themselves dolled up or looking good or anything like that in the war zone. And even on Yom Katab Liktab, I still hadn't seen her without her hijab. Even though it was halal for me, I still hadn't, because of just the time constraints and the bombings going outside. She had to leave. So I literally married her with my eyes closed just because of who she was.
Wow.
And
look at the tawfiq and the barakah already.
And
Mashallah.
subhanallah, and this is what it is about Gaza. I thought I was going into Gaza to help Gaza. I thought I was the one going to Gaza to save people, and I was the one giving Gaza. And it was Gaza that gave me this crown, this jewel. And that's the thing about Gaza, is Gaza never takes from you, from me, from any of us.
Only gives.
It only gives. So no matter how much we give Gaza, Gaza has given us more.
Mm-hmm.
When you donate to Gaza, or when you lose your job for speaking out against Gaza, right here, you think of it as a loss. But look how much Gaza has given us. It's united the Ummah. It's brought Muslims back to Islam that had left Islam.
And non-Muslims to
It's
Islam.
brought non-Muslims to Islam. It's made those who hated Islam fall in love with Islam and speak about it positively. I mean, these right-wing commentators who are now saying, you know what, I was wrong in the early 2000s when I used to speak against the Muslims. I was wrong.
The Cadence Owens, the Carlsons,
they've
general,
changed.
yeah.
They've changed. And why have they changed? They've not changed because billions of dollars was put in front of them, or $7,000 a Facebook post or an Instagram post, or the prospects of a job, or because we don't have that as Palestinians. We don't have that leverage that we can say support our cause and we'll give you this much money and we'll give you these jobs. And
nor should it be that way.
All that we have is our faith, our Imaan, and our truth.
That's not all that we have. That's all we need.
Well, this is what I mean.
That's the
it's
lesson.
like
That's the
all
lesson.
we have is that,
Yeah.
but that's enough.
That's enough.
All we have
That's
is
beautiful.
that. All we have is that, and that eclipses the money, the influence, everything else that they have. That's what eclipses it. And do you know, like I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, like, even me, a Ghazawi, you know, who I'm not asking anything of Gaza. You know, this is my home, this is my people, this is my family. I'm not asking Gaza to give me anything. I don't need any. I want to give to Gaza. And despite that, it still gave me.
Subhanallah.
And that's the beauty of Gaza. And that's, you know, that's why we can never ever repay the people of Gaza. We can never repay them for what they did for the Ummah.
It definitely put things into gear, but obviously you also have likes of what's happening in Sudan, obviously, and all over, man. Honestly, I don't want to start counting
Kashmir,
and naming the countries.
Rohingya, Uyghurs,
and